Welcome to the Great Girlfriends podcast, where we discuss life, love, laughter, and everything in between. I'm your host, Brandis Daniel.
I'm your co-host, Sybil Amuti.
And we have with us today, ladies,
guest great girlfriend, Dorinda Walker.
Hi, ladies.
Dorinda, we're so excited to have you on We Can Scream right now.
Yes.
I'm so excited to be on. I love the Great Girlfriends podcast, and I'm so happy to be a guest.
Oh, thank you so much. How are you, Dorinda? Are you home? Where are you?
I am home. I'm working from home today, and I am doing extremely well. And I'm just blessed and living a life of joy and abundance.
Excellent.
I love it. That's so
good.
Isn't
that the goal?
I know.
Isn't that the goal for everyone?
That really is the goal. If we can do that every day, we're winning.
Right.
I love that. Brandis, how are you?
I'm doing good. I think I just left my cell phone in CVS, but
nice.
So let's pray that someone has found it and put it up. But other than that, I'm doing great. Had a really fantastic weekend, just kind of filled with birthday parties, and got a chance to rest, which is always amazing. So it was good. It's been really good. How was your weekend? Awesome. You were in Memphis.
I was. My weekend was active. It was active.
I'm sure.
It was active. It was big. It was good.
Good. How's Mom?
Mom is doing good. She is. Yep. She's so happy that I was there, and my siblings we were all together. We just had a lot of fun.
Girl, let me tell you, those glasses, first two things. A, if you guys have looked on Sybil's Instagram, which is Sybil_Amuti, they have this boomerang that her family did, which had me cracking up, Sybil, because that move your mom gave, like, she just gave us just a little bit.
Right, a slight sway. Because she's cool like that. She's cool. She's real cool.
And those glasses, I'm going to steal from her.
I know. She is hilarious. That one, she keeps everything fresh. So she got probably 10 pairs of glasses, and, she just keeps everything stylish, everything.
I love it. I love it.
Uh-huh.
And how would you...
I enjoyed looking at the pictures, Sybil, and I think your mom was fantastic. And a picture of you and your dad just overwhelmed me. So it looked like you guys had a good time.
We did. I'm a hardcore daddy's girl, so I was just soaking up his love.
It was so sweet.
I was soaking it up. Yeah, so girlfriends, we need to dive in. So we're so excited because Dorinda is one of our personal favorite humans.
Yes.
Right? But she's also...
Flash angel.
I mean, seriously, in every way. And if you have not met her or had an opportunity to be a part of anything that she's done over the last at least 15 years, I would say, you're going to have a chance next year when you come to our conference, and also as you connect with her story even more, because Dorinda is doing such a fantastic job of sharing her testimony, her legacy, her wealth, her reason, her why, her mission. And she's been traveling around the nation getting women ignited by sharing her own story first. And I'm so excited because, Dorinda, I feel like this year you just poured your story out in so many different ways. And I told you, every time we see you, we get another part of your story. I'm like, who did what? What happened? There's more.
Right.
For a long time, I didn't want to tell my story for fear of being judged. And, once I started sharing it and, the response was, empowering and inspiring to people, I knew that was part of my purpose. So now I tell it, to everyone as much as I can.
I love that. I went to the She Summit. It been a week and a half ago, I think now, that Prudential was a sponsor at, and Dorinda actually gave us invitations to. And one of the things that Carla Harris said during her speech, which you guys have heard me talk about her speech, I think I've talked about it nonstop since the conference, is bringing your entire self to the table. Mm-hmm. And Dorinda, she was talking about when she would go to meetings and people would introduce her as an opera singer, how it would make her cringe. And she realized eventually that bringing her entire self to the table, even at work, like worked to her benefit, because it even inspired her clients and it inspired the people that she was working with, and how important it is to bring all of you. So I love that you're doing that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I wholeheartedly agree. And actually, she's one of my role models, because I feel like it's important that I can bring my whole self to work. And I'm fortunate to work for a company that allows me to do so. So I'm really blessed in that aspect.
Absolutely.
Okay. So I want to, if we can, tell our girlfriends a little bit about the company that you're with, that Brandis and I have had the pleasure of being partnered with, your role. And I think one of the things when you guys talk about bringing your full self to the table is Dorinda has a very clear why. Like, if you don't know about Dorinda, you'll understand her mission is so clear in the way she handles herself at work and personally and even with her family. Everything is very clear on why you do what you do, Dorinda. And so could you just tell our girlfriends a little bit about yourself, your start at Prudential? Oh, I gave it away. And, and the role that you play now and how you've progressed to that point.
Sure. So I've been with Prudential for 17 years. And oddly enough, I started out as a temp and worked my way up to creating my own job now, which I love. I'm the vice president of consumer strategy and key initiatives for our multicultural department, which supports all of our U.S. based businesses in growing market share among women and diverse consumers. So I essentially create consumer marketing strategies that allow education, access to prudential solutions for women and minorities so that we can help to close the wealth gap for those underserved communities.
First of all, can we just go back a second? Did she just say she started as a
As
temp?
a temp, as a temp. Anybody that's temping, you need to be grabbing pen and paper right now.
What? What? Dorinda, that's a whole book right there.
It is. So my next book will be about how to become an entrepreneur in corporate America.
I
I
love
mean,
it.
really, guys. Seriously. Did you just hear? Because I didn't miss that.
No. And look, but
It
then
took everything in me not to disturb you, not to break in. Like, what?
right. And with all the finesse in the world, she's like, and then I created my own position. I don't know if you if you caught that.
I caught
Well,
all of that. Caught
So
I,
all of that.
I was in a leadership rotation program in 2009,
mhm,
and I worked a lot with our business resource groups, and I was actually the co-chair of our Black Leadership Forum.
mhm,
And I kept hearing the same thing. We would like to see Prudential market to people who look like us. So I said, okay, instead of talking about it, let's do something about it. So I wrote a proposal as to why the company should focus on women in multicultural markets, and positioned it as a business growth opportunity because that's where all the future growth will be.
mhm.
Senior leadership loved the idea. I got an executive sponsor, and I kind of did that as a side thing while I did my regular job in business development. So me and the executive sponsor worked hard. We pulled together a multicultural symposium where we brought in outside experts to kind of educate our staff, and it just took off. We had over 300 people who were advocating and working on multicultural initiatives across the company, and senior leadership decided to make it a strategic imperative, and they agreed to have the department started in 2012. So, in a nutshell, I kind of created my own job.
I love it.
That's so amazing. Once again, I'm like, okay, there's another nugget in there. How did you get this executive sponsor?
Well, he was always an advocate of mine because he's the one who was kind of my mentor in the leadership development program I was in. So I presented it to him and the head of HR for our U.S. based businesses, who's also been a mentor to me, Ron Andrews, and they just said, okay, we'll support it, and just whatever you need, let us know. So it was Mark Hug is the executive's name, and he was truly an advocate for diversity and inclusion. And, we just worked diligently to ensure that we were educating our businesses on how valuable having a strategy around this could be for future growth.
Mhm.
That's
And
amazing.
yeah, we were fortunate that the businesses, they embraced it, and I have to give a lot of credit, to our senior leadership.
That's
It's been
amazing.
it's been phenomenal.
Wow.
Amazing.
So, but Dorinda, tell us, there are a lot of people in that Black network. Let's just keep it 100. And a lot of them, are working towards their own personal job and their own personal fulfillment of their legacy. Why was it so important for you to broaden the message?
I found out in my 30s. I'm 45 now.
Mm-hmm.
I found out in my 30s just by happenstance. My grandfather and his sister were talking about their youth and how they used to go to school with chauffeur-driven limousines. Now, this is in the 30s, the late
Wow.
20s,
Wow.
30s, and I'm saying, like, how is that possible? And they said, oh, well, we were rich.
What?
Just to keep it simple, we were rich.
Yeah. So I found out that my great grandfather immigrated from St. Kitts in 1906 to Newark, New Jersey. He he had a music school that Sarah Vaughan went to. He owned property all over the state. He had two supper clubs, the Black and Blue and the Nest, where jazz greats frequented, and he had a mansion where University Hospital sits now. Um, and he was a self-made millionaire, and he died in the early 40s. And because he didn't have a succession plan and estate plan, his wife remarried, and her and her husband didn't know what to do with the money, so they essentially squandered it all. So by the time my
Mm.
mother was born in 1953, there was little to no evidence of his legacy.
Wow.
Wow.
Oh my
Wow.
goodness.
Yeah, so I feel like I need to be a champion to carry on
Mm-hmm.
my great grandfather's legacy to help, particularly our communities to not only maintain our wealth but to transfer it intergenerationally.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I
Wow.
then I had another example where my grandmother, my mother's mother, was married for 36 years. My mother was her youngest child. Came home from work one day to my grandfather's girlfriend and him putting her out. And they
Mm.
ran up her credit cards, cleared out her bank account, and she was always, a professional woman, but she had to start over.
Mm.
And no, that was a big lesson for me to make sure that as a woman that I always had my own money and that I managed my money and that I had access
Mm-hmm.
to my funds and didn't let anybody abuse me in that way. And I'm fortunate that I'm married to a great man for 23 years. We've been together for 27.
Yay!
Yes.
Can we get a
Yes.
clap for that?
Yes. Woo-hoo! To all the good
But
brothers.
but there
So,
were value lessons in that, and that's why I'm such an advocate for empowering women in minority communities to understand how to have a strategy around financial planning.
wow, that's amazing, Dorinda. You just talked about your husband, and one of the challenges that the women, our great girlfriends, have is like finding harmony in all of that. So you've been married for 27 years, so that means your husband, and you've been with Prudential for
17.
17
So
years. So
we've
that
been
means your
married
husband was with you through this entire journey. You also have 3 children.
Mm-hmm. 23 years
yeah.
married.
Wow. I mean, if you could just, before we move on with our legacy piece, can you give us a nugget on just kind of how you've been able to maintain all of that, like while still building at work?
Well, for me and my husband, our relationship has always come first.
Mm.
So we're the best of friends. So we make time for each other.
Mm-hmm.
And, that I think made us better parents because we knew when to compromise, we knew how to prioritize. I'm not saying it was just all bliss, because there are obstacles that all couples face, but we really made sure that our relationship came first and that our kids understood that, and that they felt loved and that they felt cared for. And, there was a time when my husband worked long hours and weekends, and I sacrificed my career.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
And then when our kids got older and he wanted to be at the baseball games and the football games and the volleyball games, I made sure that I stepped up so that he could change his career path to be off on weekends and nights to enjoy those times with the kids. So, there was a little give and take and compromise. And now we're at a point where, he's supporting my entrepreneurial dreams as well as my career. And he's still maintaining his career as a chef. So it's all working out.
I love it. That's another book, Dorinda.
I know.
I'm adding books to your plate.
Right, because you just brought up something valuable to me because you have 3 children and so your daughter's in her 20s and
Yes.
then your eldest son is what is he 20? He's right.
He's 19.
He's 19 and then Thomas is 18 or 17.
Timothy is
Timothy, sorry.
17.
Timothy's
Yes.
17 and then you have your beautiful grandbaby and she's how old is she?
6.
She's 6. She's so cute.
So
So,
cute.
and just not to take away from anything, but Dorinda travels. You probably, if I could estimate from just watching, you probably travel like 60% of your job or more.
Yeah.
How are you managing your time? How do you do that?
So sometimes I'm able to take my husband or my children with me,
Mm-hmm.
and when I'm not able to do that, we FaceTime. So we still keep in touch, and I'm fortunate that my kids are pretty much grown and self-sufficient for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So, as long as Timmy has pizza every Friday, no matter where I am, I make sure that Domino's. He's pretty good, and he's a straight A student, so he's maintaining his grades, which is
Wow.
very important to me. So we make it work. My 2 older kids are working, um, so it's just we just make it work, and there's a lot of times when we just make sure that we carve out time for family time.
Mm-hmm.
So we have like a few dates on the calendar for the year that are absolute must that we all are together. So they know they took off work and they know that we're all going to be together as a family for the holidays and certain key events that are happening for me. So we just make it work.
I
I
love it.
love it. During this time, Dorinda, since you've really kind of been pushing this money movement, as Sybil called it, what are the things that you found out about women that keeps them back financially or holds them back financially?
Well, one thing is the disparity in the wage gap, because women's average earnings is 79 cents for every dollar earned by men. So that's a lifetime loss of about $300,000 right there. So that's
Wow.
$300,000 that we don't even have to invest.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And then also ensuring that we have a plan for guaranteed income in retirement, because a lot of times as women, we're constantly caring for everyone else and not prioritizing our own, financial foundation
Mm-hmm.
long term. And it's really important because women are living longer, which means they're going to have an added medical expenses in retirement. So even if you're saving for retirement and you think you have enough, it's not if it's going to happen, but when you're going to need extra money for your medical expenses. Do you have enough?
Right.
And how are you planning for that? So those are some of the key issues that I know women are facing and may not be thinking about. And that's one of the things that Prudential is really keen on providing some education, because it could be a crisis for women long term.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question because, we're approaching the holiday and Brandis and I specifically said for this, before Black Friday hits, we need to dive into money matters with our girlfriends because we don't want them spending beyond their means. Does the data show that our spending habits, are worse than men's spending habits or that we are spending beyond our means at all?
I would say that African American women are the largest contributors to the economy, right? When you look at buying power, but when you look at where they're spending that money, it is on beauty and retail products.
Oh, we gotta do better, y'all.
Oh,
yeah. So I would say women of color overall, we're huge contributors in terms of buying power, but for African American women in particular, we're spending our money on retail and beauty products. where we should be reinvesting that money into investments and savings.
Wow.
And so look, so for Christmas, Brandis, don't get me a pair of shoes. Remember those Prada shoes you were going to get me? Don't get those for me. I want you to give me a lump sum of money that I can put towards my financial legacy instead, right?
Oh Lord,
So
you were done.
we
All right, you got it.
thank
And
you.
look, I'm sitting over here looking at my hair right now. And was like, well, I'm clearly not investing.
You're gonna wash that yourself, right?
You know, Tiffany Budgetnista, the Budgetnista, has this great analogy. So, want it, like it, need it, love it,
Uh huh.
right?
Uh huh.
So you don't have to deprive yourself of the things that you love, but you have to understand what my loves are, what my needs are, and what my wants are.
Yes.
Yes.
So, are the Prada shoes a love, or is traveling with your family really the love?
I
You
think,
Yes.
know,
Dorinda, we don't have a lot of long term vision around need part. Because when you start talking about the medical expenses that could possibly happen when they will happen in our elder years, we don't think about the fact that we have to take care of her. And we talked about this in our episode on perspective. Oh no, we talked about this in our first episode around money, right?
Yep,
Brandis,
we did.
that
Hmm.
our elder self lives inside of the younger self, and so she's counting on us to make good decisions now, so that when she arises, when 75 fine Sybil arises, um, she has some money to navigate this world with and to protect myself from poverty. So if I don't make decisions now, it's not gonna just it's not gonna sprout from the ground, or it's not gonna fall from a tree. And I think that when you start talking about the need part, I don't know that we are educated enough on what the needs really look like on a larger scale. So we do a lot of wants right now. Like I have a lot of girlfriends who can spend lavishly because right now everything's good. But what happens, like, 30 years from now, when the economy has shifted or the job position has shifted, and obviously we age and we're not able to make as much, we're not earning as much, but we still have a lifestyle we want to maintain, you know?
yeah. And that's why it's important to start early. The
Yeah.
earlier you start, the better off you'll be long term.
Mm-hmm.
There's this hesitancy because people say, "Well, I don't make enough to save." Whatever you make, you should be saving at least 10% of your income,
Yeah.
and living below your means. So, I sponsor a lot of events, and I see women who say, "Well, I just don't make enough," but they have a $300 weave in their hair, and they have on red bottom shoes, and it's like, yeah, you make enough, but you're not really prioritizing what your true needs are.
Right.
So, what are you willing to sacrifice short term to ensure that you have a healthy long term strategy?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I love that. One of the things I've seen, in this empowerment movement that's taking place with women, as we all are going out, and so many women are feeling ignited and saying, "I'm going to start my new enterprise. I'm jumping into entrepreneurship, or I'm, going to start putting more investment into my passion project and so forth." I love the fact that you and Prudential have been there to say, while you're doing that, consider the following. Be conscious of the fact that it comes with a cost, and learn what you need to sacrifice. And that kind of movement is what's going to allow us to not just start these businesses like we are, but to have them that we can pass them down to our children.
Exactly. And don't and let go of the fear around this whole money conversation, because that's also another thing we encounter a lot. I hear people tell me all the time, you know, I, I don't know why I waited so long. I guess I was just scared to, open up about my financial situation. And there's no judgment. Everybody, has made mistakes when it comes to financial planning. I think, if you really want it to be committed, then you have to work with a professional who can help you plan.
Right.
And there's also myths around, well, it costs too much, and well, I don't want to give someone a commission, and all kind of things that I hear. But it's like, if you have a BMW, you're going to take it to the Chrysler dealer to get fixed. I
You
don't
better
think
No,
not.
so.
You better not.
no. Take
or the
it,
guy down
take
the
it,
street. Yeah.
take it around the corner to Eddie. No.
You better not let Eddie touch your car.
And you're going to take it to an expert. And, we're fortunate at Prudential where you don't even have to go to a Prudential expert. I'm going to be honest, right?
Mm-hmm.
Prudential's a company with $1 trillion under assets. So if you don't buy from us, we'll be all right. The company will be all right and last, it's 140, over 140 years right now. But go talk to someone. And
Mm-hmm.
that's what we're saying. If it's not Prudential, if it's a Morgan Stanley or any other company, talk to someone, but make sure you're comfortable with that person. Make sure you have a good relationship with that person and make sure that they understand what your short and long-term financial needs are.
Mm-hmm. Dorinda,
Absolutely.
how was your first conversation with the financial planner?
It was, I'm broke. I don't think I can afford this.
We would never guess that.
Um,
Like, I would never
yeah.
guess that. Wow.
Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, and this was the first time that I went to a financial planner, I was 22.
Mm-hmm.
And it was because my grandmother, she said, you better make sure you have a retirement plan and you better make sure you have some life insurance.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, my daughter was a baby. So, I went and my husband and I were like, we don't think we have enough money for this. And, they worked with us and said, okay, well, if you save here and stop spending there, then you'll have enough money to purchase this insurance. And we made sure that we both maximized our 401k plans at work. And I have to say, starting early, I'm looking at my retirement account and it's looking really good.
Nice.
Nice.
um,
Congratulations.
I know.
but, we had to start.
Mm-hmm.
And, as our income started to grow, we were able to do more in terms of investments and savings and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to start. And a good financial planner will check in on you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get a bonus annually or you're getting extra income from, getting new business if you're an entrepreneur. They'll check it in on you to help ensure that you're not spending that money recklessly.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Are there some practical things, Dorinda, that you do like on a weekly or monthly basis that have like kind of just kept you where you need to be?
Yeah, you have to know your numbers. You have to
Mm.
make sure that you know what you're bringing in and where your money's going out, because that helps to keep you in check.
Yes.
So that's what me and my husband do. It's funny. When I got promoted to vice president, my son, he ran and he said to me, "Ma, does that mean I'm going to get more allowance?" And I'm like, "No, baby, that means that mom and daddy are going to save more because you have everything you need."
He's
Yes.
like, we all get promoted. We all get a
Uh-huh.
raise.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I had to explain to him that was my money, not his. But
Right.
Do you guys remember that episode of Cosby when they were telling them the kids that they weren't rich and they were so shocked, like, we're not rich? They're like, no, you have nothing.
Right.
yeah, when my youngest son, he was about 5, and I told him I didn't have money, and he said, "No, just go to that machine and take the money out," as if
Right.
it's, if as if it's just nonstop. So, and that's when I realized that I really had to teach him about money.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, out of my 3 kids, he's the one that's the most frugal, and he knows how to save a dollar.
Mm.
Let me
Right.
tell you, I used to do the same thing, Dorinda, except I used to say, just write a check. Can't you write a check for that?
Yes,
When I was growing up,
because we
I
didn't
felt
have
like,
ATM
what do you
machines back
mean?
then.
Just write a
Right.
check. Right.
Same thing. Yes. Write the check. Or better,
Oh,
I used to tell my dad to go in my mom's purse. Go in mama's purse. That's where all the money is.
that's where all the money is.
So all
She
the money's
got
in
it
her
right
purse.
there.
Yes. I love it. Okay, so keep your eyes on your numbers. What else do you do? What are some of your money practices? There's another one.
So I would say keep your eyes on your money. Make sure that you're reviewing your financial plan at least annually
Mm-hmm.
because things change. And we see it all the time where, say, people get divorced and they forget to change the beneficiary in their life insurance policy.
Wow. Okay.
So they remarry. I mean, we see it all the time. they remarry, but unfortunately, they didn't change their beneficiary, so the first spouse ends up with the money.
Wow.
Mm.
So it's things like that that can happen, and that's why you really need to, at least on an annual basis, make sure that all your paperwork, all the planning is still where you need it to be.
Mm-hmm.
I would encourage that for everyone. And then your goals change. So I'm at a point in my life where I'm stepping out into entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to dip into some of my savings to support my entrepreneurial dreams. So how do I do that without jeopardizing my retirement savings and some of the savings that my husband and I have for, our household and emergency funds?
Mm-hmm.
So, talking to an advisor about how to do that wisely has been invaluable.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I, you made me think when you just told that story. You just made me think of. Remember, we were talking, Dorinda, and you were talking about how much money goes unclaimed, and how, like, just communicating your financial plan to your family, how important that is.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, exactly. So, making sure you have a will, and in many cases, you may need to have trusts or estate plans. So, ensuring that you have a board of directors too, because when you make a certain amount of money, so if you're making six figures, you need to really make sure that your lawyer is talking to your financial planner, is talking to your tax attorney, because that's how you have checks and balances. And you see this with athletes all the time. They make all this money and they rely on their business manager to handle every aspect of the financial planning. And then you see, when they retire, they're broke because they
Wow.
had poor money management and they didn't have checks and balances
Mm-hmm.
to ensure that they had things set up so that they wouldn't have undergo those pitfalls with the money.
That's so good. I
So,
love that.
Dorinda, let me ask you a question. In our episode that we did, where we talked about money. I think it's called Money, Money, Money. We had the girlfriends just stop and say the word money. And we got a few like emails and messages back on Facebook saying like, when I say the word, I cringe, or I can't even say the word because of the discomfort, because I don't have enough. I don't have enough, like that disqualifier. When you say the word money, how do you feel?
I feel empowered,
I love it.
um, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's
um,
good.
yeah, because money money is an empowerment tool if it's used correctly.
Yes.
Mm. And there's going to be a time in everyone's life where they're going to have to sacrifice when it comes to their money, when they're not going to be able to enjoy all of the things and buy all the things that they want. But understanding that that's a short-term sacrifice in order to get to the long-term goal, because you want your money to empower you, and
Right.
if you use it unwisely, then it becomes a derailer for you fulfilling your dreams and your purpose.
Absolutely.
Very
I
true.
love that.
So I
Love
think
it.
I think some of the keys that I love that I pull away are to make sure that regardless of what our family, what we inherited as a family, and what our practices were a family, know that we need to be educated. We have to
Yeah.
pursue it on our own, and we can't wait on anyone to come to us. We have to literally, women, like girlfriends, be intentional about going out and pursuing financial literacy so that we're not left behind.
Absolutely. And and just looking at your money. Like,
Yes.
it is so easy to just not look and just be surprised. You see, but it is so destructive to do that. So, when you said, Dorinda, just making it a constant practice just to know your numbers,
Mm-hmm.
I think that is what kind of empowers us to be able to save the way that we want to be able to save, to make the right decisions around money, to kind of know what we have and where we are.
Yeah.
And have an accountability partner. As girlfriends, we talk about all kinds of things and, relationships, career. Let's talk about money more. Let's
Yes.
share what our money goals are and hold each other accountable.
I'm
So
so
maybe
glad you
that's the
said
money
that.
movement. Everybody get a money accountability partner,
Yeah.
someone who you trust, someone who you feel really comfortable with, and maybe that's the assignment. You guys find somebody. And I know we got our great boyfriends that listen too. By the way, I got a story about that. But you too, find an accountability partner, someone that you can talk to about money and that you can be accountable to with no judgment.
Yeah. Yeah. I also think when you have your why, what I love, Dorinda, is you've learned all of, as well, you keep unfolding more. Your story's so rich. My goodness. You keep unfolding more and more layers to your family story, your legacy. And some people would hear that and say, woe is me. We had it and we lost it. You took that and you said, wow, if we had the power to make it before, we have the power to make it again. Now I just need to be educated on how do I make all of the attributes of who I am, my character and my power as a woman. How do I make that add value to my financial legacy? And I think that we have to do that more as Black people, particularly because so many of our families had it and lost it. My grandfather had and then he lost. So I feel like I can't, maybe I don't have the competency to do and keep it. But I think that should empower us to say, if our ancestors and if our elders had gone so far and accomplished so much, it's the potential is inside of us to do that and more because we have more tools now.
Absolutely. My philosophy is that we were all born to be extraordinary people. But
Yes.
we have circumstances in life that try to derail us. But I think those are all tests
Mm-hmm.
to prepare us for how great we can be.
Mm-hmm.
And if we, make sure that we're prioritizing financial wellness um, as part of our path to be great, I think, and extraordinary, I think we'll all be better off.
Love it.
Absolutely.
Love it. Love it. Love it.
And there's just one other thing I want to touch on. We did some focus groups with Nielsen a few years ago, and it was consistent when we asked all of the Black men if they were leaving a legacy for their children. They said, well, we're teaching our kids how to be self sufficient.
Mm.
And I wanted to jump through the glass because I'm like, no, you should be leaving your children a legacy. And some of the comments were, well, we're scared that our kids are going to, squander all the money that we worked hard to build. And it's like, you can set up a trust. You can specify how your legacy lives on.
Mm-hmm.
I want all people out there to understand that, because I think the intergenerational wealth part is so important. And that's why, again, I stress the fact you need to talk to professionals who can help you set those plans so that you know that your children's children can live off of your legacy.
That's so true. Dorinda, that's exactly what happens in my family. So my grandfather's father was actually pretty well off. And I mean, from what my grandmother told me, they were like the only ones in the town that actually owned property. And he decided that he wasn't leaving his children anything to fight over. And I feel like
Wow.
that thing is something that my family has really been trying to break for a long time because just that mindset of I'm not going to leave anything because I don't want them to have anything to fight over. So you basically leave them in a worse position than where they were when you were here, which is crazy because most of us want our children to do much better than we do.
Right.
And it's just it's one of those family tales that's just kind of depressing all around.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that we have to work really hard to change.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I hear so many stories about families who had wealth and didn't, set aside plans. And that's the benefit of planning, because if you plan properly and you specify how you want your money to be allocated, you avoid the people fighting over your assets because you put a plan in place and directed exactly how your money would be spent and who it would go to.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This was awesome.
Amazing.
Awesome.
Great girlfriends. This is the money movement. Welcome to the money movement.
Yes, and Dorinda is
Right, the
indeed
Great
the
Girlfriend
founder.
Podcast.
And I would like all the women who are supporting the money movement to make a pledge to at least save 1% more for their retirement.
That's
Prudential
easy.
had a raise for retirement this year, a 401k raise in Pasadena, where we asked everyone to pledge to save 1% more for retirement.
Oh
I
my
love
And
goodness,
that.
that,
I love
yeah,
it. So
it's not a
smart.
lot.
That's just one. That's one trip. That's one trip, and maybe a pair of shoes. The way
Exactly.
our girls travel
Oh, our girls travel.
and shop. Dorinda, thank you so much. Girlfriends, I know you got a
You're
lot of value from this episode. And Dorinda, even though she's in such a high ranking position at Prudential, she's so tangible and accessible. And that's one of the reasons that we love her so much, is because she makes the mission so real. And we can honestly look at her and take her blueprint and say, if she's able to do this, I can too. So I love her example. Dorinda, we love your example. And
absolutely.
we just love how you are so committed to women. And I promise you, when I say it's clear, if you go to Dorinda's Instagram, Dorinda Walker, please go follow her. Every day she's posting something inspirational. Every day she's posting a tip or something that she practices herself. And then you get to see her traveling around the world. I think we sent people to your Instagram before because we were like, look at all these amazing, rooms where Dorinda is pouring into women, and they get to hear so much empowering information just because you found the value and you see the value, and you're saying we're making an investment. So we're so grateful.
And I'm
Absolutely.
I'm grateful to be a part of the Great Girlfriends movement. You guys are doing fantastic work, and I applaud you for what you do to empower women across the globe. So I'm honored to be a guest on your show, and thank you.
Thank
Excellent.
you.
Oh, thank you so much, Dorinda. I know our great girlfriends, you see, we're pushing you a little bit, right? They're like,
Clearly.
ouch,
Why
ouch.
they talking about money? Why they talking about money? Because you're
Right?
about to
We're,
go
we're pushing.
ham on Black
We're
Friday.
pushing you guys a little bit. And we're pushing you a little bit more because we actually have a workshop on November 30th, where we're going to be planning for 2017 and planning out like what is our strategy for 2017? How do we go into 2017 ready to kill it? So that's on November 30th, and that's for all our New York City great girlfriends. However, we have something for the rest of you coming very, very soon. So don't give Sybil and I any side eyes. And then we have also a mastermind group planned on December 14th. So all our girlfriends in New York, both tickets are for sale. If you go to our Instagram, you'll be able to get the link. If you go to our Facebook page, the link is there as well.
Yep, and you
Can
can
I just
also
say
go
one more
direct to
thing
any.
about the upcoming holidays?
Oh yes, yes.
When you guys were kids growing up, when you think about the holidays, what do you remember most? Is it the gifts that you got, or is it the time you spent with family and friends?
Let me tell you something. My gifts, my holiday gifts as a child were, on a scale of 1 to 10, they were like a 4. I probably got like two things off my list. So my list was never the thing. We always had, excuse me, we had a very huge cousin slumber party. My parents made all our favorite foods. We got to decorate the tree. We got to, package up gifts and write cards to people. We got to go see the Nutcracker. It was all of that stuff that I treasure. That stuff. And when you say that, I get that warm feeling because I can't remember
Yes.
one amazing gift, to be honest, but I remember so many laughs and so much food and hugs and, getting to see family that I hadn't seen in a while and all of that stuff.
Exactly. So when you go out to go shopping, think about that. Do you need to buy the most extravagant, expensive gifts, or is it more important to focus your attention on how you're going to engage with your family, you know? So it could be that you buy a game that's going to bring everybody together
Yeah.
versus, the Versace bag or whatever. So I just want people to think about that because, I know the holidays can set people back financially. So
Absolutely.
Girl. I mean, seriously. And then when it comes time for next year, they're looking busted in the face because they're so, because you're not watching the numbers. You're just spending, you're just spending. Most people are not spending on a budget at Christmas. They're spending according to, what they want or what they want people to feel. So they're not looking at the numbers. And then when they look back retrospectively, they're sick January through March recovering.
Waiting for a tax
You're
return.
waiting on that tax return.
You know it's the truth.
You're not supposed to live off that tax return. I'm just saying. That's money to invest, right, Dorinda?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, so if anyone, all of you coming out to our mastermind and our workshop, November 30th, December 14th, you can get those tickets on Eventbrite if you just look up the Great Girlfriends. And I would suggest that as a holiday gift for a great girlfriend. Don't buy them no junk. They have plenty of purses, plenty of shoes, plenty accessories. Get them a workshop. Get them a mastermind experience. Get them something that will nurture their dreams and help them get clarity for next year, right?
Perfect.
Yes.
Yes. We cannot wait.
Okay, so Dorinda, as you know, at the end of every episode, we always thank the husband. So Kwaku, I want to thank you. He's such a rock and I love you.
And I want to thank my boo, Rich Daniel, for holding it down for our family always.
Oh.
And I want to thank my husband, Thomas Walker, who's been my rock and my support system for over 27 years.
Awesome.
And also my children who, support and allow me to go out and empower other people. So I want to thank them for their sacrifices and helping to share what I do with the world.
Yay, I love it. Sam and Dylan, my babies are just, they make me so happy. So I'm so grateful. I thank them for sacrificing too while mommy works, because I know they want me tucked with them at school every day. Can't do it though. I can't do it.
Right. And so little Miss Sky, who has her first winter cold. I think it's because she has 3 teeth coming in all at the same time right now.
Yeah.
But she's doing so good.
That's amazing.
And I also want to wish all the great girlfriends a phenomenal holiday season and wish them many blessings in the year to come.
Thank you so much,
thank you, Dorinda.
And girlfriends, we thank you for trusting us as your go-to source for everything life, love, and laughter. Please make sure you visit our website at thegreatgirlfriends.com. Also follow us on Instagram.
The Great Girlfriends.
On Twitter.
_great GFS.
Head over to Facebook right now and join our private Facebook group.
The Great Girlfriends.
And make sure you listen every week on iTunes, Stitcher, Podcast Republic, Podcast Bean, Blueberry, and every other podcast service that's out there.
Absolutely. Thank you, ladies. Thank you for listening. And keep being
a great girlfriend. I'm Sybil.
I'm Brandis.
And there's Dorinda.
I wasn't sure if I was supposed to say I'm Dorinda.
This is Dorinda Walker. Yes.
I finally got her on our podcast.
I know. Oh, I'm so happy about that. Thank you so much, girlfriends. We're signing off. Peace.
Bye, guys.
Bye.